Hey everybody, welcome to another Movement Monday. I'm Coach Eddie, and today I'm going to go over an athlete's question about the squat pattern. So what better time to do it than on a Movement Monday? So first things first, this athlete wanted to know where his knees are supposed to move on a squat. He wanted to know a little bit about his feet, what's supposed to be going on with his feet, and he wanted to be reminded of on a goblet squat, is the weight allowed to move away from his body or does it have to stay close to his body? All right, so let's just start at the bottom with your feet. So, a couple things I want you to do is take off your shoes and take off your socks and perform a body weight squat. If your big toe, little toe, pad of your foot, and heel aren't rooted or digging and gripping the ground, then there's no reason to move on. The first thing you have to master is a good root. Think about your body as a tree. The big toe, little toe, pad of your foot, and your heel are your roots. And you need to root into the ground so you can have a strong foundation. That's the first step. Second step, we're going to take a look at your knees. Now, we're going to be very careful on this, and I want to say that nobody's squat is going to be picture perfect. What we don't want on a squat is we do not want your knees to dive way past your toes, especially on an unweighted squat. Ideally, we would like your shins to create a little bit of an angle, your knees to come forward a little bit so they're not directly stacked over your ankles, but we don't want them to dive way past and in front of your toes. Now, some people can do this and they can control the weight and they can control the movement, and that's perfectly fine for them. But it's not okay for just anybody to do, especially without creating the right tension. So, how do we fix this? First things first, create good core tension. One cue that's helped me and helped me coach others is to think about pulling your belly button through your butt. Now that's quite an image. So what that means is as you're coming down, you're pulling yourself down. You're not just sinking into the deep part of your squat. The second thing that creates is the core tension, and your momentum or your movement starts to go down and back. Because if you think about where your belly button is and where your butt is, your belly button's got to get to the same place your butt's in. Well, that means it's going down and back. So try that cue. That might help you. And what that'll do is if you're thinking about where your belly button's going and where your butt is going, then think about what your shins and your knees are going to do. They're most likely going to remain in a little bit more of a vertical position. Now, if you're thinking about pulling your belly button through your butt, okay, it's very hard for your knees to dive forward. The next thing to talk about is what do we do with the weight? Now, a light weight in our hands, we could probably extend that out in front of our body as we squat. That's perfectly fine. But we have to make sure that we maintain that good, solid core tension. Now, as the weight goes up, it's going to be harder to extend that weight in front of our body. The weight in front of our body does act as a good counterbalance, though, to the squat pattern and the squat movement. But as the weight goes up, that gets difficult, like I said. So the next thing you can do is hold the weight like a goblet. So you're going to hold the weight in your hands, whether it's a kettlebell, a medicine ball, dumbbell, 2 ends of that, or a plate. You're going to hold it like it's a goblet. Your forearms are going to be vertical. And as you squat, you're going to draw a straight line with your forearms all the way down. And try to touch your knees and your elbows together at the bottom. Now, if you're at the bottom like this and your forearms are vertical, chances are you're in a good spot. Plus, you've remembered the cue of pull your belly button through your butt, so we know that your hips are back and your core is nice and tight, right? But I've seen some people cheat on this, and one of the biggest things that people do to cheat on this are to sort of lean forward. We don't want to lean excessively forward. We want to keep our forearms vertical at the top and at the bottom. We want to touch our elbows to our knees. We want to pull our belly button through our butt, and we want to keep our strong root and foundation into the ground. Try these things, see if it changes your squat,